All right, yesterday reality stars Juliana and Bill Rancic announced some big news, and we brought it to you right here on PIX 11.
Yeah, if you're watching us at this time, we told you they're having a baby. Well, our Dr. Steve is here more on this couple's route and why they decided to make their dream come true and how they went about it. Dr. Steve.
Hey, good morning, guys. Yeah, yesterday we did talk about those two reality stars, Juliana Rancic and her husband Bill. They're expecting a baby after a bout of cancer and several failed attempts at in vitro fertilization. They decided to go the route of surrogacy. Well, with me now to discuss surrogacy is Parents Magazine Deputy Editor Diane Debrovner. Diane, thanks so much for coming in.
Good morning.
All right, so for people who don't know and don't understand, what is gestational surrogacy? What does it involve exactly?
So surrogacy is when another woman carries and delivers a baby for another couple. And gestational surrogacy is when the embryo is created from the intended parent. So it's the egg and the sperm of the couple, and it's fertilized usually in a laboratory via in vitro fertilization, and then it's implanted into the surrogate or the carrier who carries the baby to term. But she has no genetic relationship to the baby. So she's really just carrying the child and then giving it to the other couple.
So it's really like a perfect situation. So the child is biologically yours, the mom and the dad, and this woman is literally just carrying it for you. Why is this such a good option for someone like Juliana who had breast cancer or any kind of cancer survivor?
Well, they were in a situation where they actually, her breast cancer was diagnosed when she was in the process of going through in vitro fertilization. So they had embryos that had already been created and stored. So they were really sort of ready to be implanted. But for women who are going through a medical problem like breast cancer or other diseases or who don't have a uterus, that's kind of the most common situation where you have eggs that are viable but you don't have a womb to carry them in. That's a situation where you can have a healthy surrogate carry your baby for you.
Okay, so what kind of success rate are they talking about here? How successful would something like this be?
It obviously depends on who your surrogate is, but you're choosing a woman who's already had a baby and is fertile. And there are programs that say that you can have a 50% success rate with one cycle, but it's not unusual to have to go through a few cycles of IVF in order to have a success rate.
All right, so in other words, the idea is not like a slam dunk every time. It's hit or miss, could be as high as 50%. Okay, pros and cons. You just mentioned one con. Of course, it may not be successful every time. What are some other pros and cons here?
It's a complicated process. Emotionally, legally, there are a lot of lawyers involved in legal fees and contracts, and medically, both women have to go through this process together, and it's an expensive one. So you really have to trust everybody that you're dealing with. You have to have a good feeling about the woman that you're choosing to carry your child, and trust the agency that you're working with, and trust your doctors, and trust your instincts.
Right, trust your instincts, and it really can get very expensive. Diane, thanks so much for coming in. Really appreciate it. All right, guys, back over to you.
Thank you very much. It is 8:16. Let's talk about the weather.